I'm honored to interview Jackie Balestra today. Her article titled Five Keys to a Happy and Lasting Marriage was recently published in Authority magazine. Jackie has been sharing stories through her writing since 2008. She's been published in several regional publications. She co-hosted the South Bay Show podcast for 10 years. Now retired and pivoting from her blog and podcast, Jackie travels in an RV with her husband of 35 years, documenting their adventures in her blog, Ramblin' Jacks. Her new book is titled The Rockaway Chronicles. We'll hear more about that later. Where did you learn your most significant lessons about a happy marriage?
From my parents. Definitely from my parents. My parents were married for 40 years when my father passed. Um, they did everything together. They worked together towards all of their goals. Um, they did everything together. They loved dancing together. They did they did everything together. So that's I not just my parents. I have a huge family. My father had seven brothers and sisters, and my mother had four brothers. So I have a huge family, and all my aunts and uncles. They've been together forever. Unfortunately, most of them are deceased now. They're a little older, but yeah, I had a good clan around me growing up.
I'm quoting now. You don't have to be joined at the hip. Explain what you mean.
Um, well, my husband and I have a lot in common. We love travel. We are big fly fishers. We're big anglers. We ski. We do a lot together. We get out on the weekends and we ride our bikes and we love going out to eat and stuff. But at the same time, we over the years we've each taken up our own hobbies without the other. Right now, for the last couple of years, I've gotten heavily into yoga, and I've told him how great it is, all the benefits, but he's just not interested in that, and that's fine. Um, he Several years ago he took up what's it called, kiteboarding, where you're on a kind of a mini surfboard with the big wing. Not something I was interested in. Many years ago, I trained in mixed martial arts, and I said, hey, you want to, the invitation is always open, but you don't have to take each other up on it. So I
And,
think that's really important.
and tell me why you think it's important.
Well, you always have something to talk about at dinner.
Yeah,
Yeah, seriously, I'd come home with like, a black eye. How'd you get that? Oh, so and so punched me in the face. There's always something to talk about. It's never boring. The one thing I can say for me about a happy marriage is you can't be complacent. You can't be bored.
I was going to quote that just a little bit later, but thank you for bringing that up. I am going to say, quoting you, the wedding is only the beginning of your life together, and there is no room for complacency. You can't slack off if you want your marriage to thrive. Tell us
That's so
more
true.
about how you and your husband have kept your marriage thriving.
Well, again, we have similar interests, that we share, and we have other interests outside of each other. So again, you can't let it get boring. You can't. You have to work at it. Over the years, so many people, not just my generation, but my nieces and nephews' generation, and our friends, younger kids' generations, they think that marriage is the end goal. They
Yes,
they just think that once I get married, that's it. I'm done. I've made it.
you plan
And
a wedding and then that's it.
yeah, yeah, princess for a day, and then that's the end of it. By the way, I've never been a fan of that. My husband and I eloped. I just cannot even think about that. But and I really believe that's why so many marriages fail. They set marriage as a goal and they attain it, and then where do you go from there?
As a relationship coach, I just deplore the concept of the big wedding, but no planning for the marriage. You know, what skills do you need to keep a marriage going? And they put no money and no effort into developing skills that will make the marriage succeed.
Yes, we've all seen it. As a matter of fact, for many, many, many years, well, especially when we were younger, when we were coming up with our friends, and everybody is kind of getting married at the same time and starting families at the same time, and it's a tradition. A lot of people do it when they get married that year for the holidays. Their holiday card is their wedding photo, and I kept all of those.
Hmm.
I kept all of those over the years, and one day I was cleaning out a file drawer and I had a big manila envelope and I was going through and I was pulling out all of these cards with the photographs. Uh, Everybody but two were divorced.
Oh gosh, how tragic is that?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So, and they
Tell,
were all big, beautiful weddings.
oh, of course, of course.
Yes.
And tell us a little bit about your new book, The Rockaway Chronicles. What is that about?
The Rockaway Chronicles. It's a memoir. My family, well, we're from New York City. We grew up in the city, and my family had a bungalow out in Rockaway for 60 years, from 1954 through 2014. We were in one bungalow for 20 years, and then we moved around different bungalows, rented some private houses, but we've been there for 60 years. And it's my family's stories and memories of our time there, interspersed with descriptions of a community that was being negatively impacted by outside forces. So, over the course of a couple of decades, Rockaway Beach fell into a very steep decline. And I
Oh,
go into the reasons for that, along with my family's stories and histories and memories. It the Rockaway Beach that I grew up in, for all intents and purposes, no longer exists. Rockaway Beach is still there, only it's not the bungalow culture that it was. So that's what the book is about. And tomorrow we're doing a book launch here in Southern California tomorrow. And then in another month or two, we're going to have a book launch in Rockaway Beach in New York. And it goes on sale on Amazon starting Monday morning. So you'll be able to purchase it on Amazon, Walmart.
date. Monday morning is what? March the 7th.
17th? Yeah, St. Patrick's Day.
It's going on sale. Wonderful.
Yeah, on Amazon, Walmart, Books A Billion, all of those online things. Yeah.
So it's a parallel history, your family as an individual family, but also the community where you spent a lot of vacations.
Yeah.
What?
60 years. It was really, I didn't think about it until I was, pretty well into adulthood, how extraordinary our childhood was getting to do that. It's funny. I live in Southern California now. I live at the beach. So for people that live at the beach year round, it may not seem like a big deal. But for a city kid,
Yes.
living being at the beach was an incredible treat.
Yes.
So yeah, so it and the fact that it really no longer exists. That community, I call it the Rockaway Beach bungalow subculture. It doesn't exist anymore. So
What do you think that tradition did for the health of your family? I mean, the emotional health, the relationships.
emotional health and relationship. My family was very close. I had a great childhood. I mean, don't get me wrong, there were tough times and stuff, but we were a very close-knit family. We still are a very close-knit family, even though I'm in California, I have a sister in Florida, another sister in Jersey, my mom in New York. Um, we we we've always been very close. We always enjoyed being around each other, hanging out together. We find any excuse to get together,
Oh gosh.
any excuse to get together. When I first moved to California, after I moved to California, a couple of years after that, my younger sister moved to Florida, and we began a weekly conference call. And every Monday night, my mom, my sisters, and I would get on the phone, 5 o'clock my time, 8 o'clock their time, and we did this every month for 30 years. Now we do Zoom calls. Now we
Wow.
do Zoom calls. Yeah. So
Your note taker has entered the waiting room. Do you want me to admit the note taker?
who is the note? I don't know who the note taker is.
Is Jackie's note taker Otter.ai?
I have no idea who that is. Don't. I didn't invite anybody.
I will just shut it down then.
Yeah.
I loved that you said to make each other laugh as often as possible. So
Early and often.
is something you and your husband do for each other.
Yes, but it's certainly not planned.
Yeah.
We appreciate each other's sense of humor. I could he could say something, I could just make a three-word remark, and it'll get a chuckle out of him.
Uh-huh.
So yeah, I think we're on the same wavelength when it comes to humor. So yeah, I think that's really important. I think making each other laugh, being able to laugh together is really, really important.
I think having good humor is a necessary component of a great marriage. When humor is biting or has an undercurrent of criticism, then it's not fun and it's not
Yeah.
good for the relationship. So tell us what's your other or at least one more characteristic of a successful, happy, loving marriage?
You have to be respectful of each other.
Mm,
And don't get me wrong. No, we're not perfect. Nobody's perfect. Um, Sometimes you just have to walk away, when, somebody comes home in a bad mood, work, somebody else has aggravated you, and who do you take it out on? The people closest to you.
right.
And that would happen. My husband would be in a bad mood from being at the office and I'm like, I have nothing to do with this. I'm gonna go take a walk. It's not me that you're mad at. So you have to understand where that's coming from. I think that's really important.
You mentioned that you two are traveling a lot in your RV. Where have you been or where are you planning to go?
Well, we keep it in the South Bay for the winter, and then we have a home for it in Idaho the rest of the year.
Mhm.
So when we get up to Idaho, we're all over. We're in Wyoming, Montana, all up and down Idaho, Utah, and then when it's here in the South Bay, we do, we'll take like a week-long trip out to Arizona. We'll do weekends in San Juan Capistrano, or we go up and down the coast. California coastline has all these fantastic RV camps all along the coastline.
Yes,
All, right on the beach or right on the cliffs of the beach. So yeah, so little long weekend joints here and there, and longer ones, going east. Yeah, so a lot of fun.
that Northwest country is such gorgeous country.
It is. It's spectacular.
Uh, After my late husband passed away, I got an RV and just meandered up the California coast and kept stopping at all these beaches that you're describing. And the beauty and the ocean was so comforting, soothing to me. There's
It
something
is.
about being in that ocean environment or a beautiful mountain environment. There's something about nature that's just healing.
I'm partial to the salt water.
Yeah.
Salt water cures all ills as far as I'm concerned. Yes. Yeah.
Jackie, I so appreciate you for spending some time with me today and for your valuable tips about keeping a marriage thriving. And I wish you the very best in the launch of your new book.
Thank you. There's my book cover back there.
Oh, that's a beauty. How can our listeners get in touch with you?
I have well, the Rockaway Chronicles has its own Facebook page. Contact me through there. I'm on Facebook, Jackie Balestra. I'm on Facebook. Uh, I have a Ramblin' Jacks Facebook, Twitter, Instagram page where people can follow our travels. They can subscribe to my newsletter. So yeah, lots of ways.
Lots of places. Well, again,
Yes.
I wish you the best with the launch of your book, and thank you so much for spending time with me today.
Thank you so much, Nancy. It's been a pleasure.